All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to the call today. And we are going to be talking about integration today. So, welcome to you all. My goal in all of these calls is to get you out within 30 to 45 minutes. So, we're not going to be keeping you long, but I do want to discuss these things with you and try to start giving you some ideas on how these things work together. Thank you. Appreciate that, Wayne. And a lot of you have three pieces to the puzzle, and you have Webinar Fusion Pro, you have Genius Marketing Pro, and now you have Genius Trainer Pro. Express conceptually how these things work together, and then we'll talk about mechanically or process how they fit together. So I want to cover both pieces. As always, I want to encourage you to make sure that you are present on all of our tech calls, as well as our Monday night call, where Dwayne talks about sales. And so if you haven't been on that call, please make sure that you set Monday at 7 o'clock aside. Very important for that. Hello, Marilyn. And so let's kind of get in here. Let's get started. And as I said, I want to talk about some things conceptually. I'm going to go to my slides here and see if I can do that there. All right, now let's talk about Genius Integration. Yes, PC, that's 7 p.m. EST on Monday nights, and you'll be getting an email on that today. Hello, Denise. Hey, thank you. Yep, I'll take care of that. Okay, so let's talk about integration for a second. And mainly, I want to talk to you about this from a kind of a conceptual standpoint. Right. So let's think about now, those of you who have been involved in internet marketing, probably going back a little ways, probably going back to 2013, there was what I call old school internet marketing, where you talk about basically getting anybody to opt in for anything and giving them a free report. And then once you get them to opt in, you get them to buy stuff. That was the old school model. Right. And so that really was, and to some degree, it's still pretty prevalent today. I mean, a lot of us still operate basically on that method, that once you get somebody to be part of your list, you can just kind of continue to send things and send things and send things, and you just kind of get them to buy as much as you can. And then once they're finished buying, then you will then kind of move on and get other people onto your list. Now, here's the thing about doing things in that way. It depends on you getting more and more and more new customers. Right. So if that makes sense to you, if you recognize that pattern, so if you recognize the pattern that I just described to you, whether you describe it as whether you recognize it as a customer, whether you recognize it as a marketer, please put the number 1 in the question box. And what that depends on is having a big list. Right? Because eventually you will burn people out of that list. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to grow your list, and then people who get tired, you're trying to replace them. Right? Does that make sense? So you're trying to grow your list as big as you can, because it really depends on you replacing people in that list once they get burned out. Right? And that was old school. The other thing, that it didn't really matter what the product was per se. Right? You were really trying to stay generally within a niche. So people within the internet marketing niche mailed internet marketing products. So it could be PLR, it could be software, it could be social media, it could be SEO, could be anything. So as long as people bought, it didn't matter. The niche had to be broad. Right? Now, yeah, churn and burn. And so what you had to do as a product creator, or even as an affiliate marketer, is you had to depend on a repeated launch, right? Repeated launches. So you sort of had customers, but they were more buyers than they were customers, if that makes sense. Buyers more than customers. And so what you tried to do was you tried to get these buyers into continuity, right? Into a continuity program. Internet marketers have disturbed it. How many of y'all have heard that the average continuity plan last about 3.5 months. And that really is because we use this old school model, because the list that you were growing really didn't necessarily depend on you getting them into something that would really suit their needs, right? Something that they would really like. So a continuity program, people would kind of get into it. They'd stay for 3 or 4 months and then they'd get out. I did that a number of times. How many of you all have done that? How many of you all have found that pattern as a customer? And have you heard that? Yeah, 3 to 6 months. And so you really could not expect to keep someone much longer than that because of the way that you brought them in, right? So if you bring a customer in and you sort of depend on them being part of a big list, it really didn't matter what you marketed to them, and it really depended on a repeated launch, then it didn't matter. You weren't going to stick around for a continuity program. You check it out for a couple of months, and then you'd move on to something else that you thought might suit your needs or might help you. And a lot of that, it wasn't necessarily started by, but I think that the person who probably captured it the best, who probably explained it the best, was Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Work Week. Because what Tim Ferriss really talked about was that you had to have things automated, and you really didn't have time to be involved with individual customers. You just got the stuff in front of them, and that you really wanted to do it, and you wanted to automate that process and get as much in front of them as you can, and continue to put people at the top of the funnel. So as people got out of the top of the funnel, you want to make sure that you were growing the top of the funnel faster than you would lose them at the bottom. If you got them in a continuity, fine, but your continuity was repeated launches, right? It wasn't getting people to buy in. People couldn't, it was hard to get people to buy in. The continuity was continuing to launch. The problem with that is it's exhausting, right? If you have to launch every week, it's exhausting, right? And no business really depends on that. So again, I'm just talking about conceptually what we're talking about internet marketing. So you would hear the terms, right? How many of you all heard the terms set and forget? Right? Those were the terms we used a lot. We talked about a lot of that, right? Set and forget it. Set it and forget it, right? And we experienced that as a customer. It really depended on good direct response copy, good direct response, which was you sort of had the headline, you got people to a page emotionally about how your product was going to benefit them, and you use the principles of direct response to move them and get them to understand that their need was for your product, right? So direct response, basically, here's what direct response is designed to do. Direct response is designed, right, to help people convince themselves that they need what you have. Right. So it helps them justify the purchase. If you get them to, oh, right. Yeah. Kenny talked about Ron Popeil, right? Ron Popeil was kind of like I'd say he and probably still is, right? Kind of the godfather of this. Look at and applied it to internet marketing. So direct response was basically helping people to convince themselves that they need what you have. Now, so when you do that, right, the tools mattered more than the process. You had to have the right stuff in place, right? So you had to have the right stuff in place. You had to have your capture page in place. You had to have the copy in place. You had to have your direct response kind of piece where it needed to be. So the tools matter, right? And they matter more than the process of really getting people involved. Right, yeah. Ron was the Frank Kern of infomercials. Right, exactly right. And so round about that time, near the end, round about 2008, 2009, there was, you probably remember Jeff Walker, if you've been involved in internet marketing. He started talking about product launch formula. And product launch formula was a little different at that time, right? Product launch formula was different because it didn't necessarily rely on getting people to a specific page, right? It relied on a process. It relied on a process of marketing. And if you bought product launch formula, or even if you just opted in, or if you listened to Jeff Walker any length of time, around about 2009, 2010, what he said, and I want you to catch this, is if you're doing your job right as a marketer, then people will buy regardless of what your sales page said. And so he demonstrated that over and over with his products and with his customers. Product launch formula was different because it relied on the process. Now, it worked like gangbusters because everybody else was relying on tools and getting people to that page and having the big, how many of y'all remember the big ugly copy? Right? So why did the big ugly copy work? The big ugly copy worked because it was based on psychological triggers. It was based on having the right stuff in place. It was based on having the right tools in place. Big ugly copy always worked. Long copy over short copy, right? And then so we started to make this transition, right? With I'd say video marketing, video sales letters, and you had people using video sales letters. But again, I don't know if video sales letters changed everything, but I do want to kind of talk about the transition. So let's talk about now, new school to now, right? 2014 to the present. Process now matters more than tools if you're going to have longer term customers. And what people are really dependent on is getting data and demographics, right? Now, you know, at that time, probably in 2013, you had things like heat maps, you had demographic information, but now what people are really trying to do is they're trying to get as much information up front as they can. Exactly, Kenny. Jeff Walker really talked about having a launch sideways. Basically, you take the sales letter and you turn it into a process. So now you're hearing, and you've heard me talk about it on my calls. Some of you have read the book by Ryan Levesque. It's called Ask. And all he did in Ask was he captured what's happening now and what's really working right now. And the reason why Ask works, right, is not because it is a strategy. I want you to understand that. The reason why Ask works is not because it is a marketing strategy. It is because that's the way human beings are, right? And the proof of that is that what Jeff Walker is doing worked back in the old school, and it still works in the new school. It really depends on you establishing expertise and credibility, right? That over time, people will buy from you if you establish your credibility and your expertise. Now, look, I'm not saying that you can't sell affiliate products, and I'm not saying that you have to be visible for everything. And I'm not saying that everything has to be based on the fact you've been involved in internet marketing years and years. I'm saying that the more expertise you have in an area, right, the more that you work with a process, the more you're going to be able to sell easier and sell repeatedly to the same customer. Now, if you understand what I just said, I want you to put the number 1 in the question box. That expertise and your credibility makes it easier for you to sell repeatedly to a group of customers that you have over time, right? Yeah. Okay. So again, we're talking about a different ball game. Now, here's the question that I want to put to you. Now, if that is the case, then not everything that you have and not everything that you do depends on you having a humongous list, right? Because I'm going to be selling to people, not number 1, that I know. I'm also going to be selling to people that know me. And so over time, even if I grow my list, I don't have to focus on growing my list faster than I lose people, because my list will be based on expertise and credibility and what I'm able to deliver. Now, here's what that means. That your job, right, means that you have to engage people. So you need to find out what it is people are struggling with. You have to find out what people are trying to do. You have to find out what people are trying to do. You have to find out what they need. It's not just I bring it to the market and I put as much in front of you as I can. It's a matter of me trying to find out what it is that you do. I need to be able to talk to you, and you need to be able to talk to your customers. And so even if you have a small list, right? If you have a list of 10 or 15 people, right, and you're talking to those people and you find out what it is that they're struggling with and what you need, you can use that data and demographic and that information in order for you to create the right kind of things that people are needing. Does that make sense? And look, this works if you're a freelancer. This works if you, because it's not a strategy. Right? I'm not talking about strategy. I'm talking about business, and I'm talking about a personal level. Look, internet marketing allows you to be personal in a way that you could not be personal before. It's not just a matter of you being detached and automating things so you don't have to be right. If you look at marketing automation as a way for you not to be there, you're missing the benefit. Right? And that's really what I want to kind of put to you. So really, today, product launch formula still works. And the reason it works is because the process is based on engagement. Right? How many of you all recently went through? Now, I bought product launch formula in 2005, and I bought it again in 2008. The difference between 2008 was about $1,500. Now, I paid about $2,000 back in 2008, 2009. Now, here's the thing. I said, well, let me go through the course that he's got now to see if it's any different. And guess what? It's no different, right? It's no different today. It works just as well. And it's no different than the one he produced in 2008. Why? Why is that the case? That's the case because engagement, expertise, and credibility works over time, and you don't have to have a huge, humongous list in order to make a lot of money. Now, if that makes sense to you, put the number 2 in the question box. Now, I'm going to get to why this matters to Genius Marketing Pro and why these tools are integrated the way they do and why they work and why we did them, right? I want you to understand why we put them together. It wasn't just to put some stuff in front of you. That's what I want to get to. I want you to get. We could have created some stuff and just put it in front of you. And that's not the point, right? The point is, just as you want customers for the long term, we want you to be our customers for the long term. So we're trying to put something together that will help you to be able to do this. Now, product launch formula still works on direct response, right? It means that you have to, and look, if you think about it, a headline is designed to grab people's attention. And if you're going to take a headline and take it off the page and turn it into a process, that means that you've got to get people's attention according to what they're experiencing, right? That's work. That's work. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be work, right? Getting people to opt in based on what they're experiencing, right, takes work, but it's worth it because, again, I don't need 10 people. I only need 2 then. I don't need 100 people. I only need 3. Right, to opt in if I've opted them in based on their experience. Now, product launch formula depends on list building. And again, you don't have to have a gazillion people when you are engaging, right? If you're listen, let me tell you something. If you have 100 people on your autoresponder and you have an open rate of 50% because you are engaging, then you don't have to look. Most of the metrics, right? All the stuff about the money is in the list and all that other stuff, it's true. And you have to have that if your open rate's 3%. If your open rate's 3%, it's typically because you are using the old school model. Hit them with what it is without really engaging. Right? And so what I'm telling you is that the tools that you need are not going to be, you don't have to have fancy tools, right? So the stuff that we're putting together, we're not putting them together telling you it's going to make you $1 million overnight. It will make you $1 million if you use them and you engage with people, right? So list building doesn't depend on having a huge list. It depends on having an engaged list. Are you with me? Now, product launch formula depends on affiliate management. I want to talk about this for a second. I want to talk about this for a second because I've been through this and to some degree, look, we all do. Dwayne, myself, Dwayne Jr., we turn down a lot of people who come to us, and you'd be surprised with the people who come to us and say, hey, you know what? We'll promote your product, but you got to promote ours. And you know what? We are basically in this point where we're saying to people, you know what? We don't need you to promote that because I don't even know if I want to promote your stuff. So don't come to me like that. And so affiliate management is you base your affiliate relationships on whether or not the people that have products and services are going to be in complement to the people who you have already engaged with. Right. So if you know your people and you know somebody's going to be putting something in front of them, it's not going to be helpful to them. Look, I don't say this directly, but indirectly. Look, you can take your product and go someplace else. And I don't need you to promote for me if you're going to come and you're going to put junk in front of the people that I'm engaging with. I don't want to demonstrate that. I don't want to model that. And so affiliate management is not just get as many affiliates as you can. Get as many affiliates as you can is the old school way. It is. It's old school. I want as many affiliates as I can. I want as many big affiliates as I can. Doesn't matter, because then you know what you got to do. When you have a lot of big affiliates, you got to pay them back. And you pay them back by mailing their junk. And so you do not want to get into that cycle. I cannot tell you how many people we've turned them away. They came and they said, well, we'll mail for you, but you got to mail for us. Like, okay, well, you know what? Beat it. I mean, we didn't say that just like that, but you hear what I'm saying. If you understand what I'm saying, I want you to put the number 4 in the question box in terms of affiliate management. Again, what that means, though, is that you're not going to get rich overnight, right? You're not going to get rich overnight. So we could do that. We could do that, but we're not going to do it. And I don't want you to do it. Right? Look, if what I have doesn't fit your list, look, I respect you if you tell me no. If I come to you and I say, look, will you promote this to your list and it doesn't fit, right? Don't send anything of mine to your subscriber list if it doesn't fit them. And listen, don't send it to your subscriber list if I'm not meeting the standard. If I don't meet your standard, don't mail for me. Right? Now, okay, so in a nutshell, what am I talking about here? Okay, so new school internet marketing, right, is about maximizing your profit, whether you're big or small, right? Whether you're big, your list is big or small. Doesn't matter, right? If my open rate, if my open rate for my emails isn't, if I don't have a 2% open rate because people don't want to read what I have to say, then yeah, I need as big a list as I can. But what if my open rate is more? What if I shot for a 30 or 40% open rate? What do you think that would do to my marketing? Well, it change it, right? So I don't have to start getting people to opt into anything and everything. I just want the people that are going to benefit from what I have. So maximizing your profit it's really about whether or not, it doesn't matter whether your list is big or small. Now, that means then that you have to engage people, right? So it isn't just set and forget. I got this list. And now I'm just going to email them stuff and I'm going to get my swipes and I'm going to send it out. That's not what it's about. Not if you want to make money. Not if you want to make money in the long term, right? Listen, what you want to have are people who are successful and people who are going to be successful over time, and you want to be engaging your prospects and customers. Right now, that means sometimes you need to entertain people. Listen. It's not, I mean, really, seriously. So sometimes, how many of us, you could use a laugh, right? You can use a laugh, whether it's in your, sometimes it's just nice to get a laugh. That means sometimes you need to entertain people, right? And it's not always about business, because when you entertain somebody, it's about them. And you're more concerned about them than they are you, and you're more concerned about giving them a laugh or a little joke or lightening their load for the day, right? Make people laugh. It's about finding out what they're interested in and giving them something interesting, right? Get your opportunity to sell, but you have to find out and you give people what's interesting. You have to inform people, right? So you have to inform people, keep people up on what's happening. right? So be current, be cutting edge. Right now, if you don't want to be talking about, well, you know what, you got to go out and you got to find a publisher and cost you about $4,500 in order to get started. Why would you tell people that when Kindle is there? Right? Keep people informed. Right? It's not about just telling people something just to say something, blogging just to write something. Right? It's really about informing people that. And so what that means then is that you and I have to be cutting edge. We got to stay up on stuff. We have to read stuff. We have to know stuff. And then enlighten people. In other words, you teach people something new. And what that means then is that you have to be, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Now, there's a difference between informing people and enlightening people. There's a difference between informing people and enlightening people. Informing people is telling them what the news is. Enlightening people is giving them something new in their brain they didn't know before that they can use to change their life. Right? Now, if you understand the difference between the two, I want you to put the number 3 in the question box. The difference between informing people and enlightening people, you need to do both. Right? You need to keep people on the cutting edge. You need to also enlighten them and teach them something new. Right? Inform people and enlighten people. Right. Now, that means you need to be determining what your customers want. Right? You use this process. Now, why do you entertain, interest people, inform people, and enlighten people? Because you're going to use that process. You're going to use the process to find out what people want. What do they want? People don't buy what they need. Right? How many of y'all need an iPhone? How many of you all need a nice car? How many of you all need a nice house? How many of you all need nice clothes? Well, you might need nice clothes, but you could go and get some clothes just to stick on your body. No, man, we go and get some of the stuff we want. How many of you now? I like Starbucks, right? I don't know how many of you like Starbucks. I could go get some Folgers and some Sanka, but I don't. I go get Starbucks because you know why? And I know it's $3 a cup because I want it. Because I want some Starbucks. I don't go get Starbucks because I need a caffeine high. I go get it because I like it. Yes. Okay, so we have to determine what people want. Right? People don't buy what they need. This is marketing. Okay? So you have to determine what people want. And that means the people that supply the stuff, that means your affiliates, right? Now, you have to determine how you're going to get it to them, right? Determine how you're going to get it to them. That's what you have to do. So determine what they want, determine how you're going to deliver it to them. Right now, what do I mean by determining how you deliver it to them? This is what I'm talking about in terms of marketing automation. Right? Marketing automation means that I don't have to be there to sell it to you. Right? Marketing automation does not mean that I don't want to be there to talk to you, that I don't want to engage you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from you. And again, if you're using marketing automation in that way, it's old school. That's all I'm going to say that. Right? It's not where marketing is going. It's not where business is going. It's not where any of this is going. Internet marketing right now is about engagement, right? So these CEOs of these who go out and they raise crowdfunding and they do all this stuff, they're talking to people, folks, right? These CEOs who go out and raise $1 gazillion in crowdfunding, what they're talking about right now is the buzzword is, how do I engage my people? How do I get out and talk to people? How do I really feel what the customer wants? I have to talk to people. So I don't care what we're selling. Doesn't matter how big the stuff is we're marketing. We have to find out what they want. And we have to deliver it in such a way, not so that we can hide from people. Right? We're buying, we need tools, not so we can hide from people. We need tools to deliver stuff to people so that they can buy when they want. It's about the customer. not about you. Right. And again, I cannot stress that enough because it used to be that way. Right now. So understand, when you buy marketing tools, it's not so you can hide from people. Right. It's you buy tools so that you can deliver stuff to people on their terms. Right now. That's what your marketing funnels are for. Why do we want marketing funnels? Because again, we're not depending on big lists. Because when I get a customer, right, when you have, you want to make sure, if you understand what I want, right, if you've done your job as a marketer, most of us don't. If you've done your job as a marketer, you don't have anything just stuck in the funnel. You don't just stick stuff in the funnel just because you're supposed to have a funnel. They told me I'm supposed to have a marketing funnel. Yeah, you are. And you're leaving money on the table if you don't, but you don't just stick stuff in the funnel. We stick stuff in the funnel because we know the customer, because we talk to people, because we engage them. We know what it is they want. We know what it is they need, and we continue to move them up the chain, and we're looking to develop a long-term relationship. So I'm not going to put stuff in the funnel just to stick it to you. So that when you buy it one time, you'll never buy. You know what? When somebody is really sticking it to you, and you go and you buy the upsell, and you swear to goodness, you know what you think? You know what? I'll never buy another thing from this guy again. Right? He got me this time, but he's not going to give me a second time. Right? That's not where you want to be. You put stuff in the funnel because you know people need it. Right now, because again, it's a long-term relationship. Now, it's all about what? The buzzword right now is CX, customer experience, right? Customer experience. So it's about the customer experience. What are they experiencing? And this is new. This is new, right? Before, we used to just, how many of you all used to remember the old days of the internet? Not only were we happy to sell something on the internet, how many of you all got a rush the first time you bought something online? You just, it was amazing. You kind of felt like, man, I used my computer to buy this thing. And so you were just happy to get it, right? That was the old days, right? Now, listen, now internet marketing has matured, right? It's matured. And so now we expect to be treated like a customer. Listen, I'm indifferent, right? I'm indifferent as to whether or not I buy it online versus in person, if you make me feel like a customer, you make my experience a good one. It's about customer experience, right? So the tools that you buy have to enhance your customer's experience, right? That's really what this is about. So when you talk about integrations and tools, it's about customer experience. It's not just to have a tool to do something cool. Right now, so let's talk about genius tools. Right? So you use Webinar Fusion Pro for information. Now, one of the benefits of Webinar Fusion Pro is this. Is every time I do a webinar, I create content. The webinar I'm creating right now is going to be content on YouTube. So I love the fact that you all are here present. If I decide that I'm going to have this webinar and I'm going to allow it to be on YouTube, it's going to be information for somebody else who finds it. And so if you're not doing webinars, ladies and gentlemen, on Webinar Fusion Pro, a lot of you all here have Webinar Fusion Pro. If you're not doing webinars and you're having trouble, let's say, creating content. Now, listen, I'm all about blogging. I just don't have time to do it. And I don't like it. Okay. And so I don't do a lot of it. But I like doing webinars. And so I can create content this way. And I can inform people this way. And so this is one avenue for those of you who need to create content. And you need to be creating content. I know everybody wants to sell people stuff, and everybody wants people to come to there and opt into them and all that stuff. But you have to do your job too, and you have to do your job and give people information. And one of the ways you give people information with Webinar Fusion Pro is you do webinars, and you leave those webinars on YouTube. Leave them out there. Not everything you do, you don't take the privacy off of there. Go in there and write your description up so people can find it. Put a lot of tags in it so people can find it, so people can feel you a little bit. Now, we made Genius Trainer Pro for a totally different reason, because I know you say, well, you know what? I don't really need to be trained. I can train people on the webinar. Yes and no. On a webinar right now, I cannot make resources available to you right now, right? But on Genius Trainer Pro, not only can I teach you by video or audio, I can also make the resources to you. I can say, look, right down here below, go get this thing, or pick up this thing, right? So Genius Trainer Pro is about enlightening people. It's about helping people, right? It's about helping people to get something new, right? I inform people with Webinar Fusion Pro. I enlighten people with Genius Trainer Pro. With Genius Trainer Pro, I can engage people, right? So I'm going to have discussion. Now, I can engage people here on the webinar, but I'm trying to have a two-way dialogue so I can find out where people are. Well, I go, listen, one of the things about these tools, and one of the things about Webinar Fusion Pro that I like, is that I can go back and read the log, right? I go back and I read these logs, because the log is where it's at, folks. Because that's where your people, even let's say you only have 2 people on the webinar, right? But they're talking to you. You need to read that log. That log is where it's at, because that is how you decide on what you're going to be creating. Okay, so Genius Marketing Pro is really about the automation. Now, what do you mean by automation? That's a broad term. Automation basically means that I can automate. You do not have to be present in order to buy something from me, right? You do not have to be present for an affiliate to sell something for me. And Genius Marketing Pro is also about the surveys, so that I can find out what it is you want. Now, okay, all that was kind of generous. Now, let's talk about a little more practical example, and then I'm going to show it to you. Now, in Genius Marketing Pro, you have the ability to set up a capture page in combination to a webinar page. You see Dwayne do it all the time, right? I do not do enough of it. And so here's what happens, right? However you drive people to the webinar and capture page is how you drive them, right? And we'll spend a little bit more time on marketing another time. But you want to set up that capture page and webinar page so that you're capturing people as a lead, as well as putting them on your webinar at the same time. Whenever you have to have somebody do something twice, if you're trying to get people to opt webinar and you take them through 2 processes, chances are they're going to leave one of them off. And the drop off statistically is off the charts, right? And that has always been the case. Right. So this is one thing that you can be doing and should be doing consistently. I just said that your webinar is creating content. True that. But you should also be setting up capture pages simultaneous with your webinar page. Okay, so now what happens once you get them on the webinar? So let's say that you have 10 people to come to the webinar and only 5 of them make it. You make an offer on that webinar live, right? You make an offer on that webinar live. Now, why is that important? Because you need to engage your statistics. What are you engaging? Well, you want to find out what happened when I made this offer. What happened when I showed people the button at the 20-minute mark? What happened when I used this phrase versus that phrase? Right? All those things matter, and you want to have a live webinar, because a live webinar with an offer gives you live people so that you get to see what people react to. Right? You're marketing. Listen, marketing is about collecting the information and finding out how people respond to what it is that you're putting before them. And so you might say, Charles, I'm not good on a live webinar. I'm not good selling on a live webinar. Here's what I'm going to tell you 2 things about that. Number 1, if you have Webinar Fusion Pro, you probably have Webinar Wealth 101 from Dwayne. You need to watch that, right? Number 2, on Monday nights, we do a sales call, and you can get help with selling things. Come to the Monday night call. That's all I can tell you. Come to the Monday night call. You'll learn how to sell. You learn how to sell on a webinar. And I promise you this. I promise you this, that if you start coming to those Monday night calls and you don't miss them, you will see. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee you're going to do more, but I'll tell you, you're going to be more confident on the webinar and you will probably sell more, right? Even if you are, listen, you can be horrible on a webinar. If you do the right things, you're going to make money. Trust me, you can mess up a webinar, but if you understand the sales process, you can still make money. You can I have watched this. I have seen this in person. You have to trust me on this. I've seen people stumble over their words. I've seen people trip and fall on Monday nights on their webinar, and they still make money. I've seen webinars. I see webinars where the technology goes bad. And the guy, you know, people have stuff going on in the background, dogs barking, all of that stuff, right? People still buy stuff. So you need, so when I don't know how to sell and I want to learn how to sell on the webinar, make sure you're here on Monday night, right? Don't miss it. Now, with Webinar Fusion Pro, you can then edit your recording. You edit your recording according to what happened well and what didn't happen, and you then mail out your automated webinar. I want you to get that. I'm not talking about the replay. I'm talking about turning that recording into an automated webinar, which you can do with Webinar Fusion Pro, and you change the timing of the offer to what works. Are you with me? Difference between a replay and an automated webinar is that you are setting up an automated webinar on purpose, and you're testing every little thing. Because when you set up an automated webinar, you start looking at, well, what happens when I send the offer before I say go to the page, right? What happens when I say go to the offer after they go to the page? Do I convert more? And so automated webinars are not just to sell stuff. Automated webinars are designed for you to learn what your people want. This is about them, and what about what they want and what will help them to buy, right? So you use the automated webinar so that you get information, right? And you watch it and you're looking at things and you're studying, and then you come back, and every time you mail out an automated webinar, you ought to get better and better at converting more and more, right? You ought to be getting better and better. Most of us don't. I understand that, but that's only because we don't study the results. We don't look at how many people got on the webinar. Now, Genius Marketing Pro, you segment your lists. You segment your lists. In other words, you don't just put everybody on one list. It's not just a matter of my list. This is my list, and I got everybody in my list. And I'm just going to email 10,000 people. That's not where it is. Now, let me just tell you how you're going to make more money, right? This is what you came here for the call. You want to make more money, right? Now, when you're opting people in, you should be opting people in based on different things. So anytime somebody buys a product from you, you should be opting them into a different list. Why? Because you need to be talking to people on a personal level, number one. Number two, they're going to be, if I came and I bought coaching from you, but I didn't buy, let's say, your info product. If you send me the same offer that you send to the person who bought the info product, we're talking about one guy bought a $7 product from you and I bought a $97 product from you. Are you going to send me the same email? Are you going to send me the same affiliate offer? And see that, and so what I'm saying is that if you're going to send me the same offer as you send the person who bought the $7 offer for you, you are not going to make as much money because you're using a generic message and you're saying the same things to two different kind of buyers. You need to segment your list, and you have to listen. And listen, all this effort means you're going to make more money. Right? When you send out an affiliate offer, you ought to have an expectation based on the knowledge that you're getting from the people. That's engagement, right? When you segment a list, you are engaging them. It's engagement, right? It means that you're not treating me like you're treating everybody else. If I buy I don't know, an expensive affiliate product from you, you don't put me on the same list as you put the guy or gal that just opted in for free. You don't treat me, your prospect, the same as somebody who's bought coaching from you. Is everybody with me on list automation? Right? List automation. So this is what you want to do with your autoresponder. Now, one of the things I put in asterisks about our surveys is we are working with the surveys right now so that they will have what's called conditional logic. Right? They don't have conditional logic right now. We are working on that. And the reason is because I want to be able to send you to a different question based on your response. If you come to a survey and you say, well, do you like imported coffee? And I say, yes. I don't want you to then send me then to start talking about tea. I want you then to start diving deeper into my love for imported coffee. Well, do you like Starbucks or do you like Latazza? Right? Which one do you like more? Which one do you buy more frequently? And so you want to have that survey, and we're working on that survey so that it's conditional, so that it has what if statements based on your response. It sends you to certain places. But that is what you should be doing with surveys. Now, I want you to understand something. And we know this, right? We know this, that you can do all that without a survey, right? You don't need to have a tool to do that. Right now, we put that tool in Genius Marketing Pro, and we are going to put it in there. But look, you can do that with email. Right? If you send out an email and you want to know what people want, ask them. And not everybody's going to respond, but some people will. Right? Ask. Always ask. Whenever you get an email from a customer or prospect, it is an opportunity for you to, number one, get to know them. Number two, find out what they're trying to accomplish. And you ask them. Ask them. Ask them. And when somebody sends you a response back, read it over and over and over again. It is what will make you more money. It will also help you to help them. Right? Because listen, of all the people that'll ever respond to you, about 2% of the people will respond to you when you ask them to. But that's all you really need. It's all the time you really have anyway. But when somebody responds to you, you find out what it is they're trying to accomplish, and you structure stuff based on what they tell you. Right now. Okay, now we've got a couple of ways for you to train people inside of Genius Trainer Pro. Now, your GMP offer and sales pages, right? You can actually sell training. Right, I'm going to show you that here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on this webinar. I've gone a little longer than I wanted to. But what you're going to do in Genius Trainer Pro is you're going to sell training, and you're going to sell it on the buy button. And again, I will demonstrate this to you. Probably not today, because I've gone a little longer than I want to. But basically, you can have people buy a course, and you send people into that course from a buy button, either into a free course or into a paid course, one or the other. And I'll show you how to do that. You can send people to a paid training on Webinar Fusion Pro. You have the ability to offer a paid training, a paid webinar. If you're not doing that, right, then listen, you and I are leaving money on the table. right now. And then lastly, but not least, and I talked about this a little bit, and I don't want you to be scared off from affiliates. I just want you to go and get affiliates, right, who will promote for you because they see the value of what you're offering to their people. But do not, right, do not get caught in this vice of, well, I'll promote for you if you promote for me. So no, you know what? If you don't see the value in what I have for your people, don't promote. Find something else. Right? Because when you have something and it really does convert and it really does matter to people, it really does help people. Listen, I don't care. Can I tell you a little secret? Can I tell you a little secret about affiliate marketing? Affiliates want to make money. They say stuff about you got to have relationships with all the, you do, but if what you have is going to make an affiliate money, they'll promote for you. So don't get caught up in all that stuff. Don't get caught up saying, caught up saying, I promise I'm going to mail for you if you mail for me. I'm not doing that. Right. And you don't need to start doing that either. If you start out well, my old pastor used to say, if you start out well, you end up well. So if you start out, right, kind of saying, hey, you know what, here's a great offer. You put it out there. It's going to convert well. Then let the people who promote for you. But don't get caught up where somebody says, hey, you know what? I'll promote for you if you promote for me. I might promote for you, but I'm not going to promise you because I don't know what you have. And there's no guarantee that an affiliate that has a great product today is going to have a great product tomorrow. Right? It's just the truth. So that's how you practically integrate all the products in the Genius system. Right? So the training and what I'm going to show you on Monday, those of you who are part of Genius Training Pro, I'm going to show you how to structure your free coupon so that it works on JVZoo, on Warrior Plus, and on GMP so that you can deliver people into the Genius Trainer Pro system, right? But you should be using the webinar to drive people to your capture page. You should be driving the capture page to sell your training to engage people. You use your surveys to find out what they want. Okay, now, does that make sense? If what I've said today makes sense to you, I want you to put the number 7 in the question box. Okay, and like I said, I've gone a little longer than I wanted to go today. And it's probably been about 53 minutes. I try to keep it down. I will try to make sure that the next time I do not keep you this long. Right? Because nobody, I do not want to. I don't want to keep you on here for hours. So the next time I set up a webinar, you think, man, I'm not ever going to webinar with this dude again. Oh man. Yeah, I'll take a few. I'll take a few PC. Who and PC? Can you tell me who you are, PC, or are you trying to keep yourself anonymous? Yeah, Sean, it'll be available for a little while longer. Here's what's going to happen to Webinar Fusion Pro. Webinar Fusion Pro is on the slate to become, I'm not sure what it's going to be called, but it's going to be part of the Genius system, and it's going to be revamped, and it's going to then have, it's going to have a few more components that integrate, and once that happens, the price is going to go up. So it's for $47 now, and then all those people are going to get grandfathered in. Right. So yeah, it's gonna change It's going to change. Everybody who has is going to get grandfathered in. It's going to become part of the Genius system, and we're adding a few things to it. Number one, to help those of you who are offline marketers. So one of the things that offline marketers have come to us and they've said, they've come to us and they've said they'd like to be able to have the ability to put bumpers on their automated webinars, right? They like to be able to have a front end and a back end video. All right. They like to be able to kind of customize that. And we're working on that. And so when that happens, then it's going to become Genius, part of the Genius system. And then the price is going to go up. Right. Let's see. And let's see. Okay. Yeah. And so if you're looking for a Webinar Fusion Pro, I'll make it available to you. It is gainmindshare.net/fusion. No, I get you, Sean. No worries. No problem. Let's see. So if you don't have Genius, it's available now. See, I feel a little weird calling you PC, but I'll continue to do so. Okay, so okay, so Genius Marketing Pro is Genius gainmindshare.net/genius. Yep, right there. Okay, and then Phil gets the last word. Let me take your question here, Phil. Let's see. If I set up a webinar and I select if I don't see any way to select Genius Marketing Pro as the auto responders and the way to use GMP, yeah, that's part of the integration. That is coming, Phil. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just feel weird calling you PC. That's all. Okay, is the automated webinar still available? Yes, it is. Debbie, yes. And I saw your email. I will send you an email today. I got a little swamped and backed up due to the launch. I appreciate that, Kenny. Thank you. Yeah, Sean, one thing you can do is I would suggest if you want to go and watch on, you can either go watch on YouTube or you can do the full screen. That is what has helped me in the past. Unfortunately, the automated webinar, Todd, is the upsell to Webinar Fusion Pro. So Webinar Fusion Pro allows you to do live webinars. The automated webinar portion is the upsell where you can actually set it to do an automated webinar. And it's a little different from doing a replay because you can actually, you can put the chat into it and you can set the timer to have your offers go off at a specific time. And you can have everything kind of happen as if it were live, but you're not trying to fool anybody that's a live webinar. What you're trying to do with it, and again, that's a great question because I do want to kind of touch on this. In an automated webinar, I would suggest that you don't try to make people think it's live. That's not the idea. The idea in an automated webinar is you want to make money. So how do you make money? You make money by making sure that your offers appear at the right time. And so you're using the automated webinar to give the customer a good experience. And here's what everyone who's ever sold on webinars and otherwise closed. If you've listened to Dwayne's Webinar Wealth 101, he says this too. When you have the four elements that you've accomplished empathy, you've accomplished humor, you've accomplished getting people to understand the benefits, then you need to close, right? And so you want to close then by letting people see your offer. If you just set the offer to happen at the end, after you've done all your talking, you might wait too long. And so the automated webinar allows you to set that process based on what works, right? Because you need to have the offer appear to your prospects when it's going to work, not necessarily at the end. Right? I hope that makes sense. Clinton, no, you do not have to use an additional platform if you're going to use GMP. You do not. Okay, that's a great question. And let's see. And okay, you missed when. Oh, you missed. Todd, send me an email and I'll give you the link to the upsell. I think, and forgive me if I'm just, it's been a while since we had that out there. I think that the upsell is $77. I think it is. What are the additional benefits of using an additional platform like JVZoo? The only real advantage that JVZoo has, let's say, over Warrior Plus and even or any platform, is that you get an initial rush of affiliates. What you should be trying to do is you should be trying to build relationships with affiliates so that they'll promote for you regardless of what platform you use. So you don't want to you don't want to depend on JVZoo. You want to meet affiliates during JVZoo, and you want to build relationships with them, and you want to move those relationships to another platform that is conducive to your business. Now, if JVZoo fits your business, then use it. If you want to have, sometimes you don't want everybody to see a launch you have, right? You don't want everybody to see your launch. And so your launch is going to be public in JVZoo, right? So most launches, you want it to be public, right? So that's what you want. But sometimes you want to do a private launch. You want to have a private launch with a few affiliates because it's for the reason that I said before. Not every launch do all affiliates need to know about. And you don't want people asking you about it, right? You might have some launch that you only want 3 affiliates to promote on, right? So I like JVZoo for big public launches, right? Big public launches, I like JVZoo. And they're the biggest fish in the water. Private launches, I like my own thing, right? Private, right? There's some things I don't want everybody to know about. I don't want all the affiliates coming to ask me about it, and I don't want everybody promoting it. Right? There's just certain products that are going to be like that. So you use these, and now I'll say Warrior Plus. Warrior Plus is good for make money online like now. Warrior Plus is kind of like is if you have something and you find a loophole, right? If you find a loophole and it's working like now, those affiliates are going to make money for you, right? So I would say that so Warrior Plus products tend to have the kind of buyer that like to see that loophole, something that's not going to work, right? So, okay. Does GMP come with Webinar Fusion if you buy the reseller package? Unfortunately not, Tawn. We've talked about doing a bundle, but we haven't yet. We haven't done a bundle yet. Key features of the upsell on Trainer Pro is really the ability to drip content, which is vital, Gareth. Right? So dripping is probably the most prominent. That's a great question. And it's something that not everybody has to do, but most people are going to have to do. Yeah, you know what, PC, we've been thinking about doing an integration, a bundle, and we may still do that. We don't necessarily, and this is just our, and I'll close out on this. And those of you who have read my email, you know my opinion about this. We do not necessarily believe in fire sailing. So we don't want you to come and buy Genius Marketing Pro, and then, you know, at the end of the year, you see, hey, these cats, they discounted this thing down to $10. We don't believe in that. I don't even believe in that with my PLR. And again, I don't have any problem with people who do that. Again, I mean, you know, what do they say? You never knock another man's hustle, right? So I don't have a problem with people. I just don't do it, and I don't like to do it. It's not that I haven't done it. I've done one in the past, and I don't think we're gonna be. We're gonna do. We don't want to do a bundle because we don't. None of us have ever agreed. None of us believed in deep discounting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's daily and weekly. Right. Yeah. If you have Webinar Fusion Pro, you have the ability, Erica, to offer a paid webinar. It's inside of there, and I have been meaning to do some training on that, and I will be doing it on the Wednesday night calls. So Wednesday nights are when I'm going to be doing the tech training for all the platforms, and I just figured out that not a lot of people have really been using that. It's not because, and probably just because we just didn't make a big deal of it. But you do have that ability to do a paid webinar. Thank you, Kenny. Okay, everybody. Well, hey, thank you very much for being here. And I appreciate you guys. I know it's Saturday. I know a lot of you all are traveling, going to see family. And so have a good weekend. I'll see you all on Monday, and then I'll see you personally on Wednesday when we'll be doing the final. We'll do on Wednesday. We'll do the final tech call for the year. Yep. Final tech call on Wednesday. Final Genius sales call on Monday. Yep. I do plan to do that, Mark. I just figured out not a lot of people do that, so I will be doing that. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Let's see. Keith, you can get Webinar Fusion Pro here at amindshare.net/fusion. More like 5 p.m. EST. Well, then, Gareth, I'd have to come and live with you. I don't know if Mrs. Harper would allow me to do that. So, but it is, but they are recorded. So, okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. Have a great afternoon and a pleasant holiday if I don't talk to you. Take care.